Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining today. We have a lot to talk about and 7 different ways to help enhance and create a better energy for yourself, for your space, and for within. So my name is Maria Leonard, and for those of you who don't know, I'm the founder of Life Scripting, which is a healing and manifestation modality. It involves 4 major principles where we are focusing on energy, breath, intuition, and the power of words. And within life scripting, we have the space clearing. Now, it's very important to understand that not everything that goes on in your life has to do with your thoughts. Yes, that plays a huge role, that plays a fundamental role in how you're feeling, what you're attracting, what type of people you have in your life. However, there is the element and the aspect of the karmic of a land, of a space that you are in. So this involves where you're born. This involves where you live, where you work, the countries that you've traveled or the countries that you've lived, and some places that feel truly home and other places that feel like you just want to run away. So we are not going to talk much about at a larger scale of cities and countries, but what we want to talk about is your living space and your working space. Plus, on how are the things that you can change within to help you have a better reality. So as I said, it's not really about your thoughts. You see, my favorite analogy is, and I always share this with everyone, is if you are trying to be positive and if you're trying to make things work in your life, just by imagine if you're sitting next to a rubbish bin that stinks and that it's constantly dirty and cluttered, you're only going to last a certain amount of time. As much as you're going to try and focus on yourself and focus on your mind, that is really not going to be enough. Now, what the situation is, in some situations, you can end up moving away from that toxic environment. In this analogy is the garbage bin. And you say, okay, I'm going to leave this space because it's not serving me. Or you're going to end up cleaning it up and transforming it. So instead of sitting and trying to push yourself to be positive all the time, and remember, we're not disregarding having a healthy mindset, an abundance mindset, but it's about understanding that they work hand in hand. Where you live, where you work, how you surround yourself with things, with people, has a huge impact on your mental state and on your manifestation abilities. So if we're going to narrow it down to 7 different things, I want to start off by the very most simple thing, which it might sound very stupid to many people, is about decluttering. Now, I want to talk about decluttering not from a cleansing point of view, that you have to necessarily organize your drawers or organize your cupboard and take away the dust, but it's about the objects that you own and possess. What value do they have to you? What do they mean? What are they reflecting? So most of the time, initially, people end up buying things on an unconscious level. Unconscious meaning that their energy will attract a certain thing that they would want to get and they would like to have, but that does not necessarily equate 100% as what is it that they want to create or what they want to manifest. Again, it might sound very straightforward, but I've seen over and over again that people possess objects and things, whether it's furniture, whether it's artwork, whether it's a certain design, whether it's a certain color of things that they have. And what they are trying to create and manifest is not really matching. There is a discrepancy there. So a few examples here is if I have a piece of an object from an ex, right? And I'm here trying to manifest a new love relationship. Now, it depends on what type of energy, how the ending of that relationship was. Am I still attached to my ex, or have I let go of that person? How much of a sentimental value does that object have for me? Why am I really holding on to such a thing? So this is where consciousness around decluttering comes in. So it's not just about cleaning things up and tidying things down. I do know many people who are super tidy, super organized, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're great manifestors or their life is smoothly sailing all the time. So some things, according to different ancient philosophies and practices coming from feng shui, which is the art of geomancy, coming from 5,000-year-old Chinese philosophy, is based on it's not ideal to have things that are pointy and things that are dead and broken in the house. So I want you to look around today after this call and reflect if you have pointy objects in the house, or if you have dead things. What do I mean by dead things? There's a dead plant around, lying around, or you have, let's say, dead leaves and flowers that you've collected, and broken things. Let's say you have a broken mug, but you're still keeping it there because you think that this is valuable or it has a memory for you. So, which leads me to the second topic, very much connected to point number one, is the form of attachment. It's about understanding what is your degree of attachment to things, to places, and how is that actually serving you in creating a better future for what is it that you like and what you desire. So let's say if you're attached to old clothes, old objects, and old places, but your desire is to be free, to explore, to have a different type of relationship and reality. So you end up indirectly, of course, not purposely, contradicting yourself. And this creates a tug of war between the energies. So there's a push and pull that is going on. So if we're connecting point one with point two, your decluttering needs to be, the reflective question is, why do I have this object? So ask yourself this question: why do I have this object? And what is the memory behind this object? Is it something that when I hold on, it uplifts me, it gets me excited, it makes me look forward to the future? Or do I look at it and I sit down and I cry? Now, please don't misunderstand that you're going to keep on throwing everything that is sentimental or it comes from your ancestors and parents, which is another important thing. I want you to understand that objects, things hold memory of energy, okay? So if you have, let's say, a bracelet from your grandmother, and that is something valuable for you, let's say it's a golden bracelet, it doesn't mean that you need to get rid of that, but you do need to cleanse that bracelet, because you can be holding on to the energetic imprint of your grandmother that held or wore that bracelet. And if you're looking at her life, and if you're reflecting at her life, and if you have something sad or traumatic connected to that, then you're keeping that an energy still in your periphery, even in your field of energy. So, which leads me to point number three. It's about cleansing objects when you buy them or whatever you've had for a while. And we're going to go in detail about cleansing. So why do I need to cleanse an object that I have? Something that I've had for years, or something that I'm just going to buy today out from the grocery, let's say. Now, some people might think that, do I need to keep on doing this every single time that I go to the grocery shop or if I buy something? Trust me, it'll become second nature once you're conscious of the energies, or you start to become sensitive of the energies. But let's look at the things that you already have, right? Especially those are old and that you've had them for a while, and you do not want to create loops. See, the problem that creates many people stuck in a situation that they're in, that they really want to be away from, is that they're stuck in a loop. They're repeating the same pattern. So let's say, if you're, again, going back to the example of the grandmother, if your grandmother had a difficult life and you have this beautiful bracelet as a reminder from her, but you're keeping that energy of a difficult life around you, you're really not honoring her memory by keeping an energy like that there, which is why the cleansing process helps you to be free and also sends this beautiful and positive energy towards her as well. How do we do that? Now, the most basic thing a person can cleanse an object. If it's it has the ability to touch water, then I would always recommend water with salt. Okay, so if you have, let's say, a spray bottle, fill it up with water and fill up, let's say, depending on how big the bottle is, let's say 500 ml water, then you would add 2 tablespoons of sea salt. Okay, sea salt, not Himalayan salt, not Epsom salt, not table salt, sea salt, and just let it dissolve in it. And have this spray bottle with you, of course, letting it touch the objects that cannot be harmed through water and salt. So you spray it and then you wipe it. What this does, the salt and water has the ability to cut through stagnant energy. And if it's something that cannot touch water, then this is where the element or practice of smudging will come in. Now, here's what I want you to know about smudging, and I teach this in my space clearing class all the time. How you smudge and how you let the smoke touch an object plays a role. You don't just go around with sage or with Palo Santo or sandalwood or frankincense and just go around, moving the hand in a quick manner. You have to make sure that you're creating a geometric energy. So option 1, let's say if you have an object, here I have a white tiger symbol. This is an ancient feng shui symbol that it brings a lot of protection for the house. So it's a white tiger. I bought it from Amazon, so it's quite easy to purchase. What I would do is I would have the smudging stick, the sage or Palo Santo, or whatever it is that you wish to use, not a scented incense, yeah? And I would let it, I would keep it under the object so I can let the smoke cover it up completely, okay? And I want you to be attentive. This might take you a minute, maximum 2 minutes, to observe what the smoke is doing towards the object. If you become attentive and you become sensitive to this, you might notice that here's what happens. If there is a lot of stagnant energy, then you might suddenly see that the smoke is fully covering it up very strongly. If the object is quite clear and doesn't really need cleansing, don't be surprised if the smoke starts to go either away from it towards the right or towards the left. Now, this might sound quite superficial, but there is an intelligence to what you're doing because you're working with energy. We're not talking about the smoke itself. We're talking about what the energy of that does. So this is option 1, where you let the smoke underneath the object, holding the object and letting the smoke cover it up. And you wait until it's taken its course. As I said, it might take you a minute or 2. Option 2 is if I want to go, so this is allowing a circular movement. When you let the smoke cover it up, it's creating a whole periphery, a whole bubble of energy around it. Option 2 would be to go into straight lines from top to bottom of the object. So let's say I would hold it and I would go from top to bottom 7 rounds. So I would go 1 and I would gradually go towards the right, covering 7 times. I usually would start a little bit outside from the object. So let's say in this case that I have this here, I would start a little bit from the outside because that's where the energy of an object is, which is what we call the aura. Even static objects have auras, okay, because it's an energy field. So you end up cleansing it from the side, and then you go towards the middle of it, and then you would complete it by the end. So it's basically 7 lines that you're doing. We're honoring the sacred number of 7 as a form of what is written in many ancient scriptures, saying that the number 7 is a completion, not completion as an ending, as similar to number 9, but it's the number 7 of it took 7 days for the earth to be created or the universe to be created. We have 7 days a week, and following that numerical value of the number 7. So that would be the second option that you would do. Option number 3 would involve creating anti-clockwise circular movement around the object. So I would hold the object in front of me. So it would be right in front of me. And the way I would see is this would be my anti-clockwise, right? This is for me. And I would let the smoke cover it up, moving anti-clockwise 7 rounds, going into 7 circular movements. Now, what are you doing when you're actually creating that smoke? What are you thinking about? Lunge? What are you thinking about? This is where a command of energy is necessary. And my favorite 2 words is cleanse and purify. I always tell everyone that whenever you're cleansing an object, command the word cleanse and purify, cleanse and purify. What is the benefit of these 2 words? First of all, you're letting the energy know that this is about cleansing. You're not energizing. Remember, energy always works with command. So either you are going to bring an energy, you're going to take away an energy, you're going to energize it, or you're going to take it away. So when I'm cleansing it, that means if there is anything that is off balance, or there are entities, there are stuck energies, then this is what the cleansing is going to do. The purifying is the intention of the word purify here means we're bringing in higher, powerful light to be anchored in this object. This same protocol, the 3 different ways that I shared, you can do it to anything. You can do it to an apple, you can do it to a plant, you can do it to a furniture. Now, of course, when it's a bigger object, it's going to become more difficult. So when it's a bigger object, such as furniture, it depends if you can move around it. If you can move around the object, then the anti-clockwise is your best bet. So you will just move around it with an anti-clockwise movement, letting the smoke cleanse it. When you're also using the salt water spray, let's say, you can use it in a form of anti-clockwise as well to spray it around an object. So when you, and I invite you to try this with one thing that you've had for a very long time, and just do this regularly, let's say for the next 3 days. So you cleanse it for 3 days in a row, okay? So yes, anti-clockwise 7 times. So when you are cleansing it in a regular 3-day process, okay? I'm just giving 3 as an example here, just so that you can see the difference of the energy. Sometimes people might not be able to notice any change from doing it once. So if you did it 3 days in a row, what you're doing is you're allowing that new energy to come in to the object and to amplify, as we said, the purity. Now, this is a very important question. I see in the chat box, any specific time of the day. So this is very important what you just asked. Whenever you are cleansing, it's ideal to have it during daylight. So from sunrise towards sunset. Do not cleanse when the moon is up or when it's at night. Now, why? It is basically based on bringing in the power of the sun's light in, so that there is light and purity in the work that you're doing. You don't want to activate dirty energy at night, especially when you're not an expert in how to deal with these things. So always allow daylight of the energy of the sun. It doesn't mean that you have to expose it to the sun, but we're talking about daylight work is when you're using this to fully cleanse and purify the object. Now, how do you cleanse an apartment? Well, that's why the course exists on Saturday, to really understand how to go deep into it. But one thing I would ask you to do is to do the same process anti-clockwise in your apartment. You go around anti-clockwise in your apartment, but this is just one of the things. There's so many other things you need to do to have a complete cleanse of the apartment. If you can start with the smudging process by making sure that you are going anti-clockwise around the house, around the room, and letting it flow and go out of the space, okay? So you don't need to sage at night before you sleep. If you sage during the day, that would be more than enough. It would be great. Smoke is the smoke that comes out of smudging, which is sage. If you burn in frankincense, if you burn Palo Santo, that is what the smoke is that is coming out. The best way to cleanse at night is water. So shower is your best remedy, using salt water even when you shower, which was going to be our fourth point on how you are cleansing yourself to help elevate your energy. Again, very simple daily practice. You see, when a practice is super simple, the mind cannot believe that it's really going to work. When someone comes and says, yeah, but I've had this problem for years, you're going to tell me to just use a sage and my problems are going to go away? Or I'm going to shower with salt and water. I already shower every day. So what's the difference in that? The problem is the lack of consistency. This is one. Number two is the lack of intention of what you're doing. You don't go around mindlessly doing this because, like I said, energy follows command. If you're not commanding what you're doing, but you're just doing the act of it, then you've basically done 20% of that action. And the benefit that you've gained is around 20%. Of course, deeper issues will require more expert help, where someone has to do the work for you to make sure to resolve certain things, going deeper into your karma, going deeper into your own belief systems. So every problem has layers of solution. We're not looking at every problem having one layer of solution. So the evening practices or your own self-cleansing practice, especially at night when you've come back home from work or you've come back from an outing, it's crucial to have a shower. Now, I know for many people, they don't want to wash their hair every single day. If washing your hair is a problem, then this is where I would say you have to sage the hair, but you're just saging the hair. Although it's not, as I said, it's not the perfect opportunity to sage at night. It's not going to bring any problems. But if you can't wash your hair at night, then at least sage the hair, okay? So again, you can go into 7 straight lines. So I would go from the right side of my body or the left side, whichever is easier for you. And you would just go into straight lines, making sure that the hair has had a bit of smoke, the smoke of the sage or Palo Santo or frankincense. Now, what are you doing again during that shower to cleanse? Because you see, what happens is every single day you are creating energy cords with people. So let's say you wake up very positive, you have your own goal. Let's assume that you've woken up perfectly happy on a certain day. That's good because you can guarantee at least 50% of your day is going to be good since you've started with that mindset. So we can tick the box of having a healthy, abundant, or positive mindset. However, depends who you are interacting with, what type of environment are you in. So you have to ask yourself, is the environment that I work in or I go to on a regular basis on that particular day has or have a good energy? And if that environment, so it's like, think of it as a pollution. Think of it as pollution and how it works, right? So as much as, again, you're trying to be healthy, you eat healthy, you're drinking healthy, you're being hydrated, you can't stop the pollution from affecting you, right? So that is why sometimes you have to stay indoors, you have to get yourself an air purifier to keep yourself and your lungs and your breathing healthy. This is a physical metaphor. So your environment, you need to check if this is a healthy environment or it's not. That's your first check. The second thing is you need to check the people that you're interacting with. Now, usually these things at an early stage for you to be aware of or for you to practice can become quite overwhelming, okay? So please understand that this will take a little bit of practice and then after a while, it will be second nature for you. So the people that you are interacting with, do they have an uplifting attitude? Do they have any envious energy? Are they someone who are narcissists? Do they attack? Do they have jealousy? Or are they supportive? So you see, you've done your best to wake up. Maybe you've had your own routine to start a really good day, but then you are dipping yourself in an environment, in a space, in an energy that can end up tainting what you've already created. So now what happens is, please don't blame yourself for this type of situation. And this was my first comment when I started our session today by saying you can't always blame your mindset for something. There is such a thing as an environment influencing you. Now, how you handle it, comparing to how you used to handle, hoping that after today, or if you join the training this Saturday, you will have a better level of immunity to these things, and you won't feel like a victim, or you won't feel that you're being negatively affected all the time, or you don't know what to do about it. Our aim is always to find solutions, not to be in a victim state. So that is why no matter how you've started your day, you also need to make sure that you end it right, because this is where I'm going to get at to my next comment. The shower before you sleep is fundamental, but it's not only about saying, I cleanse and purify. I would like you to say, I command releasing other people's energies from me now. So I'm going to say it again. I command to release other people's energies from me now. If you do this regularly, even if you're in a toxic environment, two things are very highly possible to happen. Number one, you won't get affected, which is what we want, easily, and you'll be able to pick up if there's something off quicker than letting it accumulate for days and weeks and years to come. Number two is when you start cleansing your energy more and more, so that you're no longer stuck in that type of gucky or tainted environment, based on the law of attraction, life will end up picking you up and putting you in a different space, which will match the energy. Okay. Did you notice I said the law of attraction as my second point? I didn't jump that from point number one, because sometimes based on your karma, based on your destiny, you might have to be in a certain environment for a period of time. Okay. That is a much deeper and complex topic. It's not just like, okay, I'll cleanse myself and I will change my job, or I'll change the people in my life. The first point that will happen, and that can happen, is your level of sensitivity will be stronger, which means you'll be able to detect if there's something off, and your level of accumulating negativity will be much, much lesser. So that means you won't end up having to struggle with headaches. Headaches are very common when you have been negatively affected by other people. And just a quick point, the headache will come because the solar plexus, which is the tip of the stomach, has become congested. And the congestion usually happens when there are multiple cores or entities or implants, these are more complex words, I talk about them in the training, which is stuck in your field. So the Kundalini energy, which is the flow of your energy, shooting upwards, which is natural process, it has to go up and then it needs to come back down, will start to shoot all this negativity. And this is why it's very common for people to have a headache. Okay, so the second thing, as I said, is the more you've done this, it will naturally, based on law of attraction, will gravitate you towards a healthier environment. So how are you cleansing yourself? When you're under the shower, you are having a handful of sea salt. And I know most of my clients who work with me regularly know this. You get a handful of sea salt, you place it on top of your head. This is if you're washing your hair, of course. And I'll tell you, the ones who don't wash their hair, what to do. You place it on top of the head and you are commanding that statement, like I said. If you want to go deeper, command it 7 times. Again, using the power of the number 7. And you let the water wash it away, and then you just continue with your soap and shampoo. If you're not washing your hair, then obviously you're going to cover it up. I need you to put it by the neck. That salt needs to be by the neck. This is one of the main points when the Kundalini is shooting upwards, where the headache will start to take place. I hope none of you have migraines, but if you've ever heard of migraines, migraines usually can happen in different types of clusters, and it's especially coming from the neck and above. Okay, so you need to put the salt there and you let the water hit that area of the body so it starts to flush it out. So Cleansing yourself after a day being out, even if it's not a work environment, even if you've been on the road, you've been driving, just because you're in your own car doesn't mean that you're not affected by what's happening around you. Remember, space has to do on a micro level, which is one room, to a macro level, which can be a house, which can be a street, which can be a city, which can be a country. Okay, so it's all a ripple effect. Sometimes you might notice where a space that you live in, let's say if you've been renting apartments or houses, you may remember that a certain apartment that you lived in was much better compared to the other one. So you might have, or it might have been worse than the other one. You can end up having your own logical explanations, like, oh, I had a good neighbor, or I had like a good view, or there was no noise. Now, of course, these things do play a role. We're not ignoring those things. However, you need to understand that it's all about energy gets stagnant when it's been accumulated. Okay, it's not only one type of negativity that can affect you. It's not just because one person became jealous of you that negatively affected you. It's an accumulation of that when it starts to hit you. And based on the power of your energy field, which is your aura and your chakras, which is, I would call, your immune system based on your energy, is how you get affected. Okay, now you can wash your, I'm just reading your questions and your comments. Of course, you can wash your body with soap after. Don't worry about that part. The sentence is, I command to release people's energies from me now. Okay, so or remove it from me now. You can use this 7 times. Just make sure that you use the word command, make sure that you use the word release, and you'll say now afterwards. Okay. The common question I get, how can I protect my energy from that or recover if I feel tired? Try to do these practices, and I would advise you to come and learn, because in 1 hour, you're not going to solve your whole life. You're just going to try and create one level of solution. Should we say it 7 times? As I explained, the 7 times has a sacred number. So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you guarantee what you're doing rather than just saying it once, right? So go ahead with the number 7 and see the impact and the consistency of it. Guys, as I said it, don't do it just once and expect miraculous changes. You need to do it. Take a note today. How are you feeling today? If you're going to start tonight, take a note, reflect on it. Today, on April 8th, this is how I felt, and I did my practice. Next week, by today, see the difference. Notice the changes that are happening. Now, moving towards the next step, which is about the most toxic place in your house. And the most toxic place in your house, you might be surprised, is your own bed. The reason why your own bed is the most toxic place is because, especially if those of you have not cleansed yourself before you sleep, for those of you who have not showered before you sleep, conscious shower. Yeah, it's not about physical dirtiness that we're talking about. We're talking about energetic cleanliness or energetic stagnation. Why is the bed the most dirtiest place in your house? Because that's when you lie down at night and you're falling asleep, your subconscious mind starts to relax and starts to release. Your energy body, when the mind shuts down, can end up releasing energy. And this is what happens most of the time in any healing technique that you have experienced or you have gone to. When you are on that healing bed and the practitioner is doing energy work, breath work, hypnotherapy, whatever it is, as soon as the mind goes into a relaxed mode, the energy will like, great, now let's eliminate. So in your bed, you are continuously eliminating every night, okay? Now what happens is, again, from a physical cleanliness perspective, how often do you change the bed sheets? How often do you cleanse the actual mattress of the bed? How often are you keeping the energy both sides and under the bed energetically moving? Energy around the bed should always create a movement. Now, based on ancient feng shui practice, rule number 1, you should have a steady headboard. Okay, you should make sure that the headboard of your bed is strongly there touching a wall, not a window. This is number one. Number two, which I hear this a lot, 7 out of 10 times, people who put stuff under their bed. Now, I know some of you don't have enough space, so you need to utilize that space. So option one, get rid of the stuff if you can. Option two, if you can't get rid of stuff under your bed, then this is where I would say sprinkle salt, not water, sorry, sea salt under the bed, or put some pouches of sea salt. And then every 7 days or every full moon, empty that pouch, throw it in the toilet, get rid of not the whole pouch, not the actual material, the salt, I mean. Throw it in the toilet and discard it. If you want to invest in having something to not play this game every week, to throw things out, then invest in a black tourmaline, 4 black tourmaline crystals, and place them at the 4 edges of the bed, under the bed I'm talking about, okay? If you really have to keep stuff under your bed because of space, at least make sure that you have black tourmaline under the bed, because a black tourmaline crystal is one of the strongest absorbers that will take away stagnant energy for you. Then on both sides of the bed, there needs to be movement. I know some people will stick one end of the bed to the wall, especially those who don't have a partner, or again, those who have a partner but don't have enough space. So I would advise you to create an energy movement of the bed around, because just like your aura needs to move, the bed that you're lying in, there needs to be an energy movement from above to the bottom, also from the side. So there are 2 circles that are happening around the bed to give you a good night's sleep, peaceful sleep, and for you to eliminate whatever it is when you're lying in bed and say, oh, that was great, now I can relax, now I can let go and let that energy take its course. Now, what else can you do with your bed? I'm not asking you to change your mattress or your pillow every month or every week. What you do is the most simplest and ancient form of cleansing is you tap. You tap the mattress, okay? So what happens is stagnant energy, if you really think about it when it comes to objects and spaces, it's easier to remove, because when it's on a static object, such as a bed does not have a deep level of consciousness. It's not a living being, right? It's actually just absorbing what you think at night. So when you end up tapping, the energy that was stuck just bursts away, okay? Something that I personally do is I sprinkle salt on the mattress once a month, and then I hoover it. So what has happened, I would leave the salt a little bit on it for like an hour, and then I would hoover it, because the salt would have absorbed that negativity out. As we said earlier with the smudging, you would do the same practice going anti-clockwise. But if we have the headboard, then obviously you can't go around the whole bed. Just make sure that you're able to do it in an anti-clockwise manner. So you're facing your bed, you're looking at your bed right in front of you, and you're starting from the left side and going towards the right. This will create an anti-clockwise movement. Left towards the right, okay? Left towards the right. The other thing is, if you are someone who's not having good night's sleep, you've been having nightmares, then I would highly suggest to play 528 hertz sound healing music. So 528, okay, 528 hertz. This will keep the energy moving around. You can play it in a very low volume, and you let the body, the mind, and the energy to heal, to release, but without creating a stagnation on the bed, okay? Now, obviously, it's a given for you to also end up keeping your bed sheets clean. Look at it. If it, what is the color that is there? What does the color represent for you? Now, I go deeper into this based on the area of the house, which area is your bed in, what color should be used there. That's more of a deeper topic that I talk in the training. But at least from a very basic point of view, try to see what does the color represent for you. Of course, I don't think a black bed sheet or a black, maybe for some people that is uplifting. Again, no judgment. You just need to see what is it on your consciousness. What does it reflect for you? The other thing is it cluttered? Is it tidy? Is the bed creating a healthy, safe space? Think of it this way. If you go to a spa and you're going to have a massage, you wouldn't want the massage bed to be dirty or cluttered, right? If you're really going to relax and let go, you want it to be clean, good looking, and uplifting. And this is what you need to do with your bed, because you will be spending most of your time in your home, in your bed. Okay. And this is one of your most important sacred spaces in your house. Yeah. So, when you are making sure that your bed has created with that salt, as I already answered, if you can't move the wall, please at least place the salt and the black tourmaline. I need to make a comment of this because I get this question a lot when I do the trainings and people say, but what if I can't change the bed? What if I can't change the sofa? What if I can't change the house? This is the house that I bought. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Now I'm in the wrong place. You need to understand the reality of the place that you live, the objects that you have, is a reflection of your subconscious mind. This is something that people usually never think of. The type of home that you live in, the type of furniture that you have, the type of artwork that you have, the objects that you own is a reflection of your subconscious. Now, today, April 8, 2025, if you just start to follow some of these rules, within the next 6 months, naturally, you will start to gravitate towards new things. Your life will start to gravitate you towards maybe a different environment, a different object, a different space. I've seen so many people, some of them selling houses, some of them selling furniture, and not because they're forced. Internally, they have no longer resonated with what they have and what they do. And especially those people who tell me, Maria, but this is my family home. I've lived here for years. What was the other point that I made earlier? Attachment. So if there is an attachment issue, right? If there is an attachment issue, when you start cleansing, what happens is you end up releasing and letting go. So your attachment becomes lesser and lesser and lesser, and life will start to gravitate you towards the things, the places, the things that will reflect for you. I have this story that I sometimes share in my trainings, and I want to give you an idea of how, and this has nothing to do with an object. This is something that you're looking at daily. You all have phones and you all have a cover photo on your phone, right? So on the screen, I mean, or even the back cover, whatever you've bought and put. I was once, I actually ordered a pet taxi. I was taking my dogs to the vet, and there was a driver and a lady who was helping out. I was amazed to see that this woman, I was sitting at the back and she was at the front and she was showing me something on the phone. And then when she turned it off, I saw her cover photo on her screen. And the cover was a broken heart, a heart that was split into 2 pieces. Because I'm attentive of these things, and for me, everything will have a meaning and it reflects on us. In my mind, I was like, this lady, I mean, bless her, I don't know what the story is. Maybe she's heartbroken. Maybe something has affected her. Maybe something negative has happened. But imagine her looking at her screen regularly, daily, and she is going to look at that and it's going to create an imprint in her subconscious mind. Now, this is from a phone perspective. Now, when you finish this call today, I want you to go to sit in the center of your room. If you're living with family and you don't want to look weird going in the center of your house, go in the center of the room or go in the center of the living room and just sit and look around. Does your space make you feel happy? Does it help you to create the reality that you want? When you look around, do you look at the furniture, the color, the objects that you have and say, wow, this is so valuable. This is so beautiful. This reminds me of that. This reminds me of this. This is what I want to become. This is what I'm creating. Is it a mood board? You know the word mood board for designers that they use, is it a mood board of the reality that you're in, or you've just bought stuff, or you've just accumulated stuff, or people have just given you stuff and they don't either have meaning or you've never thought of it. And then you're running around in circles trying to fix only your mind, assuming that only if my mind is better, everything will fall into place. The reason why I want you to understand and merge your mind with your space is because they complement one another. They reflect one another. Sometimes it can be very difficult to change a person's perspective. I've had clients that for years, they would tell me the same problem over and over again. Now, this can be a result of the mindset or the karma of the person. Every person is different. We're not putting people in a box. However, it's easier to some extent when we change the environment of the person that they're living in, so it starts to influence them. You probably all have been to a sacred place in your life, whether it's a holy place, a holy land. And when you've been there, I hope you have, you felt a sense of comfort and a sense of peace and a sense of like natural joy without any reason. See, true happiness and joy can come from things that you've achieved, but it's always temporary. The long-term happiness and joy comes in when there is no real reason behind it. It's the energy that is moving around you. So moving on to the other 2 points that I want to share is, other than the bed, is I want you to look at the front door of your house. What does the front door of your house look like? Is it clean? Is it dirty? What does the mat look like? Again, very simple things. You see, the entrance of your home, your office, your living, working space has the core energy that comes into the house. So create a practice regularly every day. When you wake up in the morning, if you're living alone, it's easier. When you wake up in the morning, you make sure that you open the door. Okay, this will take just 2 minutes. You open the door and you say a gratitude, whether it's a prayer that you like to say, whether it's just a few sentences of gratitude, and say, I allow the energy of happiness, joy, abundance, whatever word you wish to use, to enter my house, because that's the fundamental, channel of energy that's coming in. Windows are secondary, but your main front door, people ask me this question as well. Maria, I have a house, so I have 3 doors. And my question for them is, which is the door you use continuously? That's where the energy of the house is coming in. So have a look at the mat. Are you putting shoes around it? This is a very common practice in many cultures, that they would leave their shoes outside. If that is the case, make sure that it is tidy, it's organized, and you have our famous black tourmaline in the shoe rack somewhere, so that the black tourmaline absorbs that negativity, that takes away all that stagnation. And if you have the option of obviously having it in a closed closet, not keeping it out open, then that would be better. Again, putting a black tourmaline inside. But make sure that you have that practice regularly, so you are consciously inviting something new. I've had people tell me that they're so sad or depressed that they won't leave the house for 2-3 days. Many times, you might have delivery come in and go, but they haven't really properly let the energy change in the house. Just think of it this way. Imagine if you are in your car for 3 days without leaving. Okay, I'm exaggerating here, but just for you to understand, you need ventilation. I'm just talking about ventilation from a natural air perspective, but energy is similar to that. You need to make sure that the energy is moving. And if you want to add the smoke of the smudging, then this is where you would light it in the morning in front of the house. I know many cultures, they do this, and it's been a very old, ancient tradition. They're inviting the energy in. Don't underestimate these practices. But the difference is, don't do it in a robotic way. Do it in a conscious manner. What is the intention behind it? Many of these ancient practices were there, and people end up doing it mindlessly, but they don't know that focus, that core. So I'm not just going to open the door. Yeah, Maria said so, and half of my eyes are open, and I barely don't want to. I don't want to leave the house. I can't bear to see the people at work. So if you're going to do that, it's really not going to work just because you did that action. So when you feel okay with it, this is where your personal effort is coming in to make those changes. And the final point that I want to create is, if you have pictures in your house, you need to make sure what those pictures represent. If you are single and you want to be with someone and you have single pictures of yourself or single paintings of others or beautiful artwork, or not even a picture of a couple, but you have a picture of, I don't know, a landmark or a mountain or an animal. You see, just because you're drawn to it, you remember, again, it's a reflection of your subconscious mind. Add in your space something to look at. And this is where actual vision boards were created. Vision boards are, again, ancient things, but it got modernized in the Western world coming from the practice of feng shui, when people were like, okay, because in the art of feng shui, everything that we own in the house, everything that we buy, the colors, the shapes, the image, the position of it, all has to create an impact on us on an energy level. And it has to inspire us in some way. So if I put a picture of, let's say, a band, I mean, many of us as teenagers, we might have posters of bands in our rooms, right? So if you have a picture of a band, or you have a picture of, I don't know, a mountain, what does that really mean to you? I'm not saying bring it down or get rid of it, but is it what you want? Do you want to go and live on top of a mountain? Or do you want to have that pet animal around? Or is it because you're an animal lover? Or is it because you like the color in it? What does it represent to you? Anything that you are buying, anything that you are placing, when you enter your house, when you're in your room, when you're looking around, subconsciously, it needs to impact. And this is a word that I've created. And that's the whole point that we add with the space clearing, is passive manifestation. So with passive manifestation, we learn about the objects, the shapes, the colors, and to add to that, we also add the wordings. So we learn how to create certain affirmations in certain places. Now, the final comment that I want to make and say is, if you've done all of this in a matter of 6 months and you have seen zero change in your life, very honestly, you have seen zero change in your life, then I would confidently tell you that you need to work on a karmic issue. Okay, nothing else, not blaming you, not blaming your mindset. You need to work on a deep karmic issue. What do I mean by a karmic issue? This can be a past life incident. This can be an ancestral incident. When I say an ancestral or past life, this can be a curse. This can, and I'm not using these words lightly. This can be a curse. This can be dark energies that have passed on into your system. This can be a vow or an oath or a contract that you've made that you still need to go through these things. Because life is meant to change, to move, to evolve. If you find yourself with changes, with cleansing, still stagnant, then you haven't properly tapped into karma. Now, people have asked me before, Maria, if I change the karmic patterns, will my life change? One thing that I can guarantee is your thoughts, your perception, your desire, and your energy will 100 million% change. Okay. So if someone is wanting that 1 million dirhams and they're still not getting it, if they're wanting that particular house and they're still not getting it, they want a particular partner, they're still not getting it. But what will happen is their energy, their attitude, their perspective changes even after a karmic change. And then as a result, once the karmic healing is fully done and complete, then they're able to have that situation in their life. No one deserves to suffer, especially when they have become cleared and when they have put in the effort. Karmic healing, you need to book a session to understand how that works. Okay, it's based on doing multiple things, like I said, as life scripting is part of the practice. So before I go, a few more questions that I can see is family, dead people, pictures. As long as you're honoring them, putting them in the right place, lighting candles for them as a form of respect, keeping the energy clean. Of course, we all have people that we've loved who've passed on. We keep those pictures and honor them. Always remember, those who have passed on, we don't discard them. That's not about discarding. It's about keeping the energy clear. And the fire element, lighting a candle, is always an ancient and most positive way to help them stay in light and to bring light through them. What do you do if you stay in hotels? Play 528 hertz. You don't need to smudge in a room. You can play 528 hertz. So you keep the energy clean. And like I said, tap. Just like you're tapping on the bed, you tap on the pillows and you command. Commanding should be second nature to all of you. What do you do if you live in two houses? Cleanse both of the houses. Okay, if it's your house, you clean it. It doesn't matter how often or how long you stay. How do you cleanse cushions or blankets? Same process that you cleanse a lamp, a bed. With the smudging technique that I mentioned earlier, you end up playing it and using it on a regular basis. How much time do you need to hear this? As much as you can handle. It's like saying, how much light can I allow in my space? As much as you can handle. The good news is there is no harm in listening to such frequencies, because unfortunately, we are already surrounded by a lot of negative frequencies anyway, such as electromagnetic frequencies, which is the Wi-Fi that we have, which is the 5G towers that you already have, which is the negativity of what your neighbor is feeling and what you are feeling. So the more you keep this uplifted, or the type of music that sometimes you may be listening to, it can be harmful. You can go on YouTube, find 528 hertz, or on Spotify, and you'd be able to use that. There is no type of sage that I would recommend, because as long as it's sage, it's not plastic, then it's perfect. Don't worry about that, because it's coming from Mother Nature. And thankfully, Mother Nature has always helped us to stay healthy and clean. So I've seen people use California white sage. I've seen people use from the region. The color of the sage is different. You see, when it comes to the smudging sticks, whether it's sage or Palo Santo or frankincense, I always tell everyone it's your own personal preference of smell. It's not that one is more of a more powerful or has more a priority than the other. Okay, if you like the smell of a certain one, please go ahead and use it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I hope you took a few notes and you will start by utilizing it starting today. Reflect on it and just go now in your room, in your house, and just sit quietly for 5 minutes and just look around. Does it really reflect the life that you want? Is it really ticking the boxes for you? What is it that is really not working out for you? And if you really want to dive deep, remember, there is always trainings, and you don't have to learn it so that you can teach it or you become a practitioner. These are life tools that we all need to have, and that you can also teach it to your kids if you have kids, so that we can create a more conscious society. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Bye.